Today's topic is the law of demand. It's going to be learning target 2.1, and then we're going to skip over to 2.3 and talk about a few other things with the law of demand. The law of demand is a way to describe what's going on with how people purchase or how people demand goods and services. So you see we've got the demand schedule. That's one of the first things that you'll want to make sure you understand, is that a schedule is a bunch of different price and quantity pairs. So you can see here Rico has a demand schedule for apple juice where if the price is 75 cents, he's going to want to get 5 of those apple juices. And then once the price goes up, you can see that Rico doesn't want to buy as many, and when it gets all the way to the price of $2 per bottle of juice, you can see Rico doesn't want to buy any. And you can transfer that schedule all the way over to a curve and plot it out in those points. And we see that there's some characteristics of the curve that we're going to talk about next.
One thing to keep in mind is that when the price of a good changes, the number of units of that good or the quantity demanded is going to change. So thinking back to Rico with his apple juice, when the price, I'm actually just going to flip back there. Can I flip back there? There we go. When the price of apple juice dropped, the number of bottles of apple juice, the quantity demanded, went up. So we moved down the curve. And when the price of apple juice went back up, if the price of apple juice were to rise, the quantity of bottles of apple juice that Rico would buy per week goes back down. You move back up that curve. So when the price changes, by the way, this triangle is the Greek sign for delta, which means change in. When the price changes, the quantity demanded changes, which is represented by a movement along the curve. So individuals will buy more or less now because it's cheaper or more expensive.
So as you can see with these arrow icons, as the price goes up on the top section here, the quantity demanded is going to go down. It's pretty important that you understand that it's the quantity demanded, as we'll get into in a little bit later. On the bottom part, the opposite scenario occurs. When the price goes down, the quantity demanded goes up, and this makes sense. People like lower prices, and they consume more of a good when the price is lower.
So this is known as the law of demand, and it's pretty important that you remember that title for the law.
Yeah, we have two variables. It's price and quantity demanded, and you know, as prices change, quantity demanded is going to change.
Yep, and these two variables are going to move in opposite directions of one another. So they have an inverse relationship, which is going to cause the downward slope of the demand curve. I just said that. I am good.
You're very good. You're very good.
It's like I've done this before. All right, this is just for fun. Way to make us proud, Blaine, on the police record here. So theft in Blaine. A woman in the 1900 block of the 129th Blaine Northeast reported October 15th that someone must have stolen her mail because she did not receive birthday cards from some of her friends. So it's quite unfortunate for that woman. I don't know if that's going to be funny because we're not in the room with them.
Yeah, maybe they're chuckling.
If you didn't laugh, it's okay. We will never know. All right. So the next section of this lecture is going to talk about elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand just measures how responsive consumers are to price changes. So we just got done learning that when prices go up, quantity demanded goes down, people want to buy less. And when price goes down, quantity demanded goes up, people want to buy more. But elasticity helps us figure out how much more or how much less are people going to buy when that price changes. So
you have the first type of elasticity that we're going to talk about is inelastic goods. So it's where consumers are not very responsive to price changes, and you're going to see a demand curve that is more vertical. So you see the slope is a lot steeper, where if prices change, if you see prices change along the price axis there, you're going to see not too much difference in the quantity that they demand. So we kind of say, as that you see on the slide here, that consumers are not very responsive, meaning they don't change their habits a whole lot when price changes. They might change them a little bit, but not a lot. Examples of this are goods where there aren't any substitutes, or there are few substitutes. For instance, like oil or gas. There's not a whole lot of good substitutes to put in your car, so people still usually purchase roughly the same amount of gas.
The next example is small priced items. Small priced items would be like, let's say you go to the gas station to buy a pack of gum. The pack of gum is $1. And then the pack of gum increases in price by 25% to $1.25. That's a pretty big price increase, a 25% price increase, but you probably won't even notice because it was so cheap to begin with, so it's not going to affect the number of packs of gum you buy very much.
Yeah, and if you, excuse me, if you need something, whether it's immediately or if you have an addiction or something like that, you don't really care about what the price is because you have to get it. So you're, if the price goes up, you're still going to purchase roughly the same amount of that good.
And then finally, things you need immediately. If you don't have time to shop around for a good deal or drive to the store across town that has the lower price, you're just going to have to pay whatever price is being asked if it's something that you need now. So for all you procrastinators out there, not that I know what that's like at all. No, we would never procrastinate, but maybe we would. But you know, if you need something right now, like if you're driving to a birthday party and then you remembered that you need to buy a birthday present for that person, so you swing into the closest store and run in and just pick something up quick, you know, you're just paying the price that's asked. So your quantity demanded is not going to be dependent on the price.
And if you look at the inelastic curve, you can put a dot right over this curve, and it kind of looks like an eye. And so it's a very vertical curve. And if you put a dot over it, it appears to look like an eye, and so that is going to tell you that that's an inelastic demand curve.
The other type of good is called an elastic good. So just like a rubber band is stretchy. For goods that have elastic demand, the quantity demanded, or the amount people want to buy, stretches a lot when the price changes just a very small amount. So consumers are very responsive. Their demand is very stretchy when we have even small price changes. So that demand curve is going to be more horizontal, because as the price drops just a tad, the amount people buy, you know, will go up by a lot. Or if the price goes up just a tad, the amount people want to buy goes down by a lot. So some examples of elastic goods are goods with lots of substitutes. So let's say you go to the store to buy Diet Coke. I don't know if we have any Diet Coke lovers out there. Some people are obsessed with their Diet Coke.
Yeah, there's a lot of aspartame in there.
Yeah, ugh. Anyway, you go to the store to buy Diet Coke, and let's say the Diet Coke's not on sale this week. Well, you have some options, right? Diet Pepsi, Diet...
Did you get that Dr.
Right?
Pepper Bold? 10? Dr. Pepper 10?
We're talking about Diet Coke here. No big deal. Or Diet Sam's Club Choice. Have you had that one? That one's a good one.
Oh, what's that? I forget the name of the other one. Yeah, they sell it.
Anyway, you have options, so you don't have to pay the high price. You can buy something else because there are substitutes. So your demand for Diet Coke might be elastic if you have other options you could buy instead.
And, excuse me, large-priced items or luxury goods are also going to fall into this category because they're goods that you don't necessarily need. And if there's just a small price increase or decrease, it's going to change how you your behavior is going to change very drastically. So when the price goes up even just a little bit more, you're going to consume quite a bit less of that type of a good.
For example, we said if the price of a pack of gum went up by 25%, you wouldn't even notice. But let's say you're going to buy a new car at the car dealership and the price of the new car went up 25%. That's a big change, and that's going to very much affect your behavior and your decision of whether or not to buy that car. Things you need immediately. I'm sorry. Backtrack.
Don't
Things you don't need immediately. It's early. It's early.
It's gotta be like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 5:30 in the morning. We are that committed to teaching you that we're recording this at 5:30 a.m. If you don't need something right away, you can shop around for a good deal or wait until the product goes on sale or something like that.
And then another easy way to remember the elastic curve is that you could make an E out of the elastic curve fairly easily. So if you look at the cursor there, if you start on the right-hand side and you just kind of wrap around and make an E out of it, you can remember that an elastic curve is very flat, which means that there's going to be a lot of change in buyers' behavior. So they're going to be very responsive when you get small price increases.
All right, so just to test your knowledge here, go ahead and pause this presentation and try to figure out if each of these goods would have elastic or inelastic demand.
You're supposed to pause it at that point. That's when you're supposed to pause it.
They're not pausing it.
Pause
No.
it.
Okay, well, you didn't pause it, busted. But anyway, we'll give you the answer. So Diet Coke, we said, would be elastic because you have substitutes. New furniture for your home, you would have very elastic demand. That's a big purchase. There are substitutes. You can buy used furniture instead. It's not a necessity right now. 2% milk. This is kind of a tricky one. 2% milk demand would be elastic because you have choices. You could get skim milk or 1% milk or whole milk or goat's milk or
Almond milk.
Soy
Coconut
milk, coconut milk. There's lots of kinds of milk out there, people.
Almond milk has less calories.
Yeah, almond milk is good. Yeah.
I usually get the unsweetened kind.
Me too, with vanilla. Unsweetened vanilla for me.
Unsweetened vanilla, absolutely.
They sell it at Costco.
Ooh. And gasoline is going to be inelastic because it's a necessity item and it does not have very good, well, it's a necessity item for most people, but it doesn't have very good substitutes. Gold and jewelry is going to be an inelastic item as well. And how about insulin for, do you need insulin if you're
A diabetic?
diabetic?
Yeah,
Right?
you're
You're
diabetic.
going to need that, so that's something that you're probably not going to care too much about what the price is because you need it to survive. Kudo points.
All right. This is another brain break we usually do in class. So if you are brave enough to do this and you come to class and show Miss Anderson or Mr. Headland your crab move before we ask you, you get extra bonus points. You are awesome. Is that all right with you?
That's fine with me. I can handle that.
All right. Now we're moving into Learning Target 2.3, looking at demand shifters. A change in demand is any change that alters the quantity demanded at every price. So people basically change their minds about the amount they'll pay for a good, or the number of people who want to buy a good changes. And the demand curves then get a shift to the right or to the left. This is different than just a change in price. This means, the whole curve moves.
And so what you see here is that the whole curve moves either in the direction to the right or direction to the left. So an increase is always going to be a shift to the right, and a decrease is always going to be a shift to the left. You don't shift the curve up or down. It's always a right shift or a left shift. However, you could describe demand as going up or down. If you were saying demand went up, you would shift it to the right. If you say demand went down, you would shift it to the left. We need to be sure that we're using the same language, as it will come up on questions and stuff like that about what directional shifts and things like that. So you need to understand that a shift only happens to the right or to the left when describing whether demand has gone up or down.
TIRES is an acronym to help you remember the reasons that the demand curve may shift. So we're going to explain each of those to you very briefly with an example. Please feel free to pause this if we're moving too fast. You can pause it and take notes. The T stands for taste and preferences. So this basically means if a good is more popular, demand shifts to the right, and if a good's less popular, demand shifts. So, for example, when Michael Jordan began endorsing specific products, demand for those products increased because they were more popular.
The income of consumers increases, the demand for goods and services, all goods and services increase. When incomes decrease, consumers demand less goods and services, so we get a shift to the left. So Billy gets laid off from his job, he's not going to eat as many gourmet steaks, or the number of those types of dinners is going to go down.
The R in TIRES stands for related goods. There are two types of related goods, and the first is substitutes. Substitutes are things you can use instead of something else. So, for example, let's say that Caribou decided to double its prices for all their coffee drinks. That's going to cause demand for Starbucks to increase because people will want to go to Starbucks.
Yeah, I would
instead.
rather have, it's a pretty similar thing. Mm-hmm. And so a related good, another related good is a complement, and these goods go with each other. So ketchup and cheeseburgers, when the price of one of ketchup goes up, it's going to change how you want to purchase cheeseburgers.
All right, you can do this for fun and let us know if you have any questions. Demand for gas changes throughout the week. So if you expect the price to go up on Friday for gas, then demand for gas will increase on Thursday night when people can get it at the cheaper price. Finally, size of population or market. You know, when the number of consumers in a market changes,